Okay, guys. Well, I want to start the pod with a question. I have a question. So, according to Hot Freestyle on Twitter at Hot Freestyle, these are the number of days it's been since the artists I'm going to read you have dropped a solo album. So Rihanna tops the list, 2,245 days. Frank Ocean, 2,040 days. Kendrick, 1,800 days. SZA, 1,700 days. A$AP Rocky, 1,300 days or 1,400 days. Travis Scott, 1,327 days. So I'm curious as to which of these artists you are most anticipating a return to music, or I guess a solo album. Beyonce's not on this list, but I'm also fairly sure it's been like
a while,
but 10 of days since Beyonce.
Same year.
Oh,
right?
maybe no. Wait a second. Maybe they're counting the Lion King album. I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
but that was last year.
Well, they said solo album here, and she hasn't. That Lemonade's been a minute.
Yeah.
True.
You already know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
My boy Frank.
Yeah.
I
For
just
the follow up to Blonde that you'll be waiting for forever.
for the next 10 years, probably, maybe longer than that. Who knows?
I'm like, if that, who knows?
Probably.
The thing with these other artists for me is that maybe with the exception of Rihanna, like I know they're all gonna drop at some point. Like I know Kendrick's coming relatively soon.
SZA should be dropping this year.
SZA should be soon. Frank, it's just like, who knows? He might just be done, so who knows?
I feel like if SZA doesn't drop this year, that speaks to poor management. Because y'all, what's going on here? What's going on here? She's had good enough singles. She had a couple hits. Where's the album?
Yeah.
What are we doing? I want to say Rihanna because I want what I can't have, and I'm okay with the continued.
Drop a baby before she drops an album.
Torture. She's gonna have that baby. She's gonna raise that baby. Then she's gonna do another Fenty line before she.
I don't know, man.
Stepping in a studio.
This feels like Dr. Dre Detox. Like people might be expecting something that's like not it. Like that her last album, even though it was forever ago, it was so good. It was her best project by far. Like
I'm nervous. Yeah.
Like exactly. Like maybe she's like what y'all expecting? Like she probably hasn't been. She hasn't been working on music. If she did have an album, it's probably old.
I think she scrapped it because remember she said years ago she was like, "Yeah, I'm working on a reggae album. It's gonna be out by the end of the year," but that was like 2019, I think. So
exactly.
Sure
so honestly, we need to just leave her alone. She just had a baby, so the next year is like kind of scrapped. Honestly,
yeah.
A$AP, I feel like A$AP might drop something, but like I don't know, man. It just feels like
A$AP needs to take paternity leave.
The most realistic on here for me is A$AP and Travis Scott. Because I could see Travis Scott maybe.
And Kendrick.
Back half of this
Kendrick
year.
has that album. Remember he has a whole thing in Paris.
What thing in
Remember
Paris?
that? Remember that show that was announced like earlier this year. Remember that? It was
but I don't preview show. Oh, I remember. And then the promoters were like, he's gonna be performing some of his new album. Well, we'll have to see if that ends up being true because we've seen in the past people have like, Kendrick's headlining, so he has to put out new music, and then he just goes and performs all the other hits.
Travis specifically, for
I don't care.
I also feel like he's pretty consistently like released singles, it feels like, over the last few years.
Yeah.
And on top of other things that have kept him in the news. It doesn't really feel like he ever left.
We do not care.
Whoa. Hey.
I like Travis.
I like Travis. Look,
y'all know that Mike Tomlin meme? No, we do not care.
Yeah.
We do not care.
I like Travis Scott's music.
I do too. And I mean his last album was good. Astro was good. I could definitely see that happening the back half of this year. Travis putting out an album.
Yeah.
No one said Kendrick though off the rip as for what they're.
I didn't say Kendrick just because like I feel like it's coming.
He's about to drop. Yeah. Like Kendrick and SZA.
Relatively.
Kendrick and SZA, I feel like they have to come soon.
Yeah.
Rihanna and Frank Ocean, we have no idea. Travis Scott, I don't care. Sorry. And A$AP, I'm kind of indifferent. Like I am a fan of his music, but he's been on like so much music. Like he's all over this Nego album.
He shows up a lot.
He's on a lot of features. So like.
Yeah.
I feel like there are tiers here, right? Like Rihanna, Frank, it's like who knows if they'll ever drop again. Kendrick is
it's like come on
soon. A$AP and Travis are like I feel like we've seen them consistently over the last few years.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they've been gone, but we haven't necessarily missed them per se.
Yeah,
They've
exactly.
been present. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, man.
Even SZA to an extent has popped up a lot this year, in the last year, I should say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I'm curious if you're listening to this and you want to let us know which one of these albums or artists you're looking forward to. Tweet us at the 97 Demo. We always like hearing the opinions of our loyal listeners. But with that being said, welcome to another episode of the 97 Demo podcast, where we talk the latest in music news, headlines, releases, and a whole bunch more along the way. I'm one of your three hosts, Nnamdi Igwanwu, joined by
Noah McGee
Avery Delal.
Oh, okay, that's everyone. Okay, so we have a quite a fun episode planned. We're talking our favorite music movies. As you know, the Oscars, at least at the time of recording, are tonight. So we decided to do our own little spin. We've done this before. We'll get into that a little bit later. But I guess we have to at least start the episode with a bit of sadder news. And Avery, I'm gonna let you take this one. Take this one.
Yeah, the news came out, I think on Friday night, I want to say. The Foo Fighters official Twitter tweeted out that their drummer Taylor Hawkins had passed away at 50. They were on tour in South America when it happened, performing festival shows. And yeah, there was a toxicology report that came out today. Don't really want to touch on that, but yeah, really sad. Taylor Hawkins was an incredibly talented drummer, very energetic. People have said this a lot, but like probably the only guy that could have drummed in a band where Dave Grohl was the lead singer, one of the most legendary rock drummers of all time. That's not an easy task to take up, and he definitely made his presence known on a lot of their albums. I want to say he joined the band after their first album, I think. But either way,
so he's been a staple in the group for a while.
Yeah,
25 years. I think it's 25 years he was a drummer for the group.
And he also was a drummer for Alanis Morissette while she was on tour for Jagged Little Pill. So he's been around for a while. It's so sad. It's like Foo Fighters is one of the most prolific and like legendary rock bands, especially like in a time where rock is not as popular as it once was. I felt like people still revered and loved the Foo Fighters. So
and this is coming off of, they just released the album, right? This Dream Widow thing. Is that like,
I think that was like some covers that they released.
Really? Okay. Yeah, it looks like it's like they're under a new name, but it still says Dream Widow and Foo Fighters, so that's interesting. But I mean, yeah, this is unfortunate. A lot of people, were really saddened by the loss and everything. So yeah, it's really unfortunate, man. I mean, this is never good. So
I just want to go on.
No, it's just the fact that he's been established for so long, and he's such like a part of like, he's such a central part of rock culture, I would assume, right, Avery? So really unfortunate.
And I do feel like it's important to at least say, especially Avery, with you mentioning that the reporting today has been about the toxicology report. I want to make clear, like we don't know what happened, so I don't think people should make. I've seen a lot of assumptions on Twitter. Cause of death has not been declared, and the only thing we know is he complained of chest pain. So that could be a ton of things. Don't think we should assume anything. We should let this play out. And actually, I think we should just let the family grieve and honestly just sort of end it there. I've already kind of seen on Twitter people, preparing to think pieces, and I think that can wait a little bit.
Yeah,
but okay.
No matter how it happened, tragic nonetheless, and
yeah,
music's
Agreed.
a little worse off because of it.
So really, really sad news. I'm sending our condolences to him, his family, the Foo Fighters, all their fans. I know this is a sad day for everyone. So definitely wanted to touch on that. I guess moving on to new releases. And I guess you'll find some Foo Fighters song on our playlist this week too. But moving on to new releases. We got a lot this week. We had a couple albums from I'm nervous saying it now because I found out I was saying it wrong for so long.
Nigo.
We have a new album from Nigo, not Nigo, which is apparently a separate artist, but Nigo. We got an album from Deshaun Curry, an album from Lotto, Fan of Who's put out a record, and a whole bunch of singles too. The No Love Extended version got a lot of talk. Chance the Rapper put a song out. What did you guys listen to? What did you like? Let's talk about it.
Avery, I want to hear from you, bro. I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, my standout release, I should say, is Denzel Curry's album. He's been on a run of pretty good singles. Actually, not pretty good, very good singles. And yeah, as Noah was talking about it before, it's like the evolution of him as an artist has been really interesting. He used to just be like kind of just like abrasive and loud, and now on this album he's pretty pretty introspective and like soulful. It's very, very cool, and he's very talented, and the features are great. I know we're going to talk about it more next week on our review roundup probably, so don't get too much
I
into
saw-
it, but I really enjoyed it.
Avery, I want to ask you. I saw a tweet because I haven't listened to this yet, but I saw a tweet from a Kanye West fan account that said, not to be mean, but the Denzel Curry album is what I've always wanted a J. Cole album to sound like. Could you please provide some clarity on what they mean by that?
I really don't know.
I don't know.
Was there any similarities there? Because I saw that and I was like, oh.
I mean, I don't.
I mean,
they were just
they
probably
both-
trying to.
They both can rap.
I mean, yeah, they can
It
both
just sounds
rap.
like some J. Cole slander.
No, it
Nah,
just sounds like
the-
the slander. I just wanted to know if the slander was justified or not.
Nah, I didn't even think of the connection at all.
I don't think of that. I wouldn't think to compare these two artists.
I mean,
at all.
there's soulful production, there's some samples in the background, stuff like that, but nah. I mean, the only difference is like Denzel Curry's like just his voice is just like more aggressive. That's just the tone of his voice. It's really like kind of gruffer, but that's like nothing like similar.
I don't
know.
J.
Somebody
Cole-
just hating. Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this album too. He had some good hooks on here. The song with T-Pain, I actually enjoyed way more
That
than I
song
should
is
have.
Great.
Yeah.
T-Pain should have been off the song. It should have just been him. Sorry. With my
Ooh.
Oh, hot take.
Five
Well,
more
'cause-
hot
'cause-
takes like that.
Because
next week.
Denzel Curry's little hook was good.
It is really
and
good.
T-Pain
I like
was
T-Pain's
like-
verse.
It was fine. It was fine. I know, but yeah, this is a good album. Yeah, my album, Fana Hughes, Flora plus Fana, Flora and Fana. I'm assuming that's what it is. Yeah, man, I enjoyed her album from 2 years ago, Hughes, her debut album. That was really good, and this one's just as good, man. It's just really solid. She's just been on a little run lately. You know, she had the album late 2020. She was on Tyler last year as this album. It was really good, man. It's really good. I mean, I really don't know what to say. Like, it's just really solid. She kind of gives me early Ari Lennox vibes, but she's really into nature. Like, all her albums are like really nature oriented and stuff like that. You know, that's what it's talking about. But I mean, she
I
can sing
bet
her
you if
ass
we
off.
tweet about her on the playlist, she'll like her. She'll like our tweet.
I mean, I don't know. I gave up at that, but still, I still love this album. So you'll check.
I'll definitely
you'll
check it
see
out.
some
She's
songs.
got a cool voice. I like her.
Yeah, she got a good voice. So you'll see it on the playlist.
So this one was kind of hard, but I decided to go with the single, "Naked" by Phineas, which, you know, I've been an open Phineas fan on the pod for a while now. Everyone knows I'm a fan of Billy too, so I actually really enjoy when Phineas puts out a single that I'm like, this is really good. Like, it's time for him to have his shine, his moment, you know. I think this is a fun pop song. He's like, I think he's a very talented songwriter, producer, so it's really never surprising when it sounds good. I just wish that more people like felt as excited when they heard him, because he's really talented.
He's really good.
So definitely look forward to.
Might be winning an Oscar tonight.
He might be winning an Oscar tonight. We should sprinkle Oscar tidbits throughout when we
absolutely.
can, because
Oh yeah, for sure.
yeah, no time to die, best original song.
Billy
He
might
named
be
that.
performing it too. I think she
Oh,
is.
well,
And then like really, well, no, hold on. Are you doing your second round, your honorable mentions?
yeah, I was gonna do some honorable mentions, but go ahead.
Well, I was gonna. Well, you go first, and I'll circle back.
Okay,
Go
cool.
ahead.
Speaking of movies, this is gonna win an Oscar, but that Kid Cudi song is on the Sonic 2 things. Those
What
Sonic
song?
movies. Stars in the Sky by Kid Cudi. That's on the Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And y'all sleep. Those movies are good, man. Y'all sleep, man. Also,
I just
this
couldn't
is
get past the headline of them having to redesign his face because he looks scary.
yeah, but now he looks
So
amazing,
funny.
and now they have tails. And they got a little mini universe. I'm sorry.
And
I'm sure he's
why
like
is
too, right?
Knuckles the villain? Just
because he starts off as a bad guy always. He always starts off as a bad guy. And he becomes good. Never mind.
I just think he's misunderstood.
Maybe. Notable Fife Dog Forever. Another, I don't know if it's another, but they did this posthumous song for Fife Dog, which is interesting. I remember there were some singles released, but I wonder why they decided to do this this posthumous song. If y'all don't know, Fife Dog was obviously about a part of a Tribe Called Quest, but yeah, I don't know why this came out, but I'll be interested to listen to that. And I'm trying to think of something else.
I got
Buddy.
one. I got
No,
Buddy,
I
Buddy.
want- so-
Buddy too. It was on
Word.
the star on the Dreamville compilations. So yeah,
Avery, what about
super
you?
ghetto.
mine is also a question to you, Nnamdi. Or not question,
Oh.
maybe a reference to you.
Okay,
You know, we talk a lot. I know you talk a lot about lead singles
I did.
and how much care should go into that, right?
Does it matter?
Uh-oh.
Very
It
important.
and this is the first the song I'm about to say is the first time I'm like, yeah, more thought should have gone into that one.
Thank you. Okay,
Ready?
what's the song?
Child of God, Chance the
I knew you were
Rapper.
gonna say. I knew it.
It's not a
That's
bad
very
song
fair.
because I think it's actually a good song, but I just don't think it's a lead single.
Thank you.
It's especially for Chance the Rapper, who's coming off everything that he's coming off. You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
which I think he has bars referencing the manager stuff.
Yeah.
On this, it's just a weird track to put out after his fall from grace, I should say. I guess.
True.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, maybe this is a sign of him being more focused, because, like, from what we read about that,
That's
like,
what I was gonna say.
there was a lot of, disorganization. There wasn't really organized, his thought process, and maybe this is him being organized. And honestly, Nnamdi's, understanding of like a lead single, what it is, but like, we're now at this point, like, there's really no rules in music anymore like that. Like, you can kind of put up a lead single and not be like a hit. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe, no, I know, okay, if you want to be super successful, but like, what happened to the time of like,
I think even if you're the smallest artist around that knows you're not going to get any love or radio play, none of that even means anything to you, you still put the exact same amount of care and intent behind your decision of what my lead single will be.
I agree. And I think there is intent behind this being like, maybe this is the sound that he's going for in the album. Yeah. Like, maybe he's going for more, because the last one, it was happy, I'm married. This one, maybe he's more introspective, talking about his faith, and maybe this is like a strategic move of him doing this. Like, I think it's the same reason. It's just not the.
I interpret it more as sort of like what you said. I think Avery, to your point, it's not like the big booming lead single you may have wanted, especially like to bring in this comeback. But I do think it represents him sort of saying, look, I'm really about it. I'm really about my writing, really about what I'm saying, really about my lyricism, really about trying to focusing in on the craft. And maybe we'll get the bigger, more commercial track later. But it
reminded me that, like, oh yeah, Chance can write, because like he can, and it's proven on this song. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. And I think it did kind of get me excited for what Chance puts out next because of that. Because it's like, clearly this seems to be a little bit more of a focus in Chance the Rapper. So I'm excited to see what he does with that. Wait, go on, Avery.
I was gonna say my last point on it is, like, there's a YouTube channel I follow called Volksgeist, and the guy made a video about it, and so this is his point, but he said it just sounded more like the 7th or 8th song, like a deep cut on the album. That wow, that was really good, rather than like.
That's fair.
Which I do wonder if it's like an actual lead. So this is for an artist like Chance. This is when we get into like the more nitty gritty, but things that they care about. He may end up saying, "Oh, that was just a promotional single. It's not the actual lead single," which some artists will do, which they'll never.
Done before.
Yeah, they've done before. They'll never call it a promotional single before, but if they put it out and the reception's kind of, they're like, "Oh, that wasn't the lead single. That was just a promo single to get you a little excited for it." So you could go that route. But I still think it was a cool little track.
Yeah, it was good.
I guess all I really want to shout out, I always try to shout out the Nigerian acts when I see him. Fireboy DML put out a song called Playboy. Sounds like a very, very classic Afrobeat song, so go check that out. Saw a lot of people on Twitter talking about the No Love extended version, which has Cardi B on it now. Before it was Summer Walker and SZA, they brought on Cardi B. Did any of you gentlemen listen to that song?
Yeah, that was good. I liked the song originally, so.
Yeah,
we just waiting on SZA, honestly.
That's it. I left it wanting more SZA, so I'm waiting for SZA to come with it.
Yeah,
honestly, like I kind of say like they have to come out. Like SZA kind of has to come out, bro. Like
it's
been a while now. We're ready for it.
Kind of.
And then did y'all listen to any of Latto's album, her debut studio album 777?
I heard a lot of thoughts on this. A lot of people, she's been in the news lately too about like what she said during the interview about a particular artist decide not to work with her. I'm so glad we can talk about that, because I have thoughts. I was gonna write about a friend newsletter. Latto did an interview where she basically provided some insight into how we know the music industry is like situated. We know quid pro quos are normal, and I'm not shocked at hearing a female rapper say, yeah, there's some dudes who, if I'm trying to work with them, they want to whatever, date me, hook up with me, whatever to me, but they want something in return. It can never just be business. That to me wasn't surprising in the least, because we know that this is a toxic industry. We've talked about it. Now, what I think is funny is that Kodak Black's crew, Kodak Black himself, has taken it upon himself to respond and say, just so y'all know it wasn't me. You know the expression, a hit dog will always holler?
She didn't say a name. It was a whole bunch
the
of
only thing she said it wasn't 21 Savage. That's what she said.
She said it wasn't 21 Savage. Okay, so while that probably narrowed it down to a few people, you could have just been silent and kept it pushing, or you could have responded and said, "Nah, this was a misunderstanding." Like, nah, it wasn't even like that. But for his team to now come and do entire Instagram stories to oh, Lotto's a liar, she was being a diva, she was doing this, she was doing that. I'm like, you are making your dude look so bad, because if you're getting this mad, a chord was struck, and like now it's sort of like you're putting him in an even worse light. I appreciated Lotto being open and honest enough, and honestly in this industry brave enough to say, yeah, this is how it works, because more people need to do that. And I think Kodak Black's team told on himself.
There we go.
Anyway,
I was gonna say, I listened to the Lil
Sunshine
Wayne Childish Gambino song, and I liked it.
Yeah, I thought Sunshine. I listened to Sunshine too. I thought it was a good one.
I heard positive things about, like, someone said it was a really great debut album. So I'm gonna.
She's funny on TikTok. I follow her on TikTok, I think.
I'm gonna listen to it because she's from Atlanta or Clayco, so I'm gonna show my support. Give it a listen. But okay,
Clayco. Is that what people
County.
say?
I mean, that's what she says, and that's what. And I'm just thinking what's the girl? I'm Loretta Clayco in not Atlanta. Like,
oh yeah, oh my goodness, that song, Atlanta Twitter went nuts. Wow,
because she was about to start a regional war for no reason.
Toxic, yeah, a lot of for no reason. Yeah, a lot of. Oof, man.
So look forward to listening to some of those songs on our weekly playlist. We're going to be starting our April demo next week, right? Wait, am I lying? Is this one more week of the March demo? I don't know. You'll hear it on the playlist.
I think one more week.
One more week
of the March demo. So definitely check it out. You'll hear a lot of dope songs. And in the meantime, it's now time for our main discussion, which I previewed. But with the Oscars tonight, we wanted to highlight some of our favorite movies that center music. So the sole definition we have for a music movie is a movie that centers music, whether that's as a theme, a production element, its style, but just where music is like a character, plays a huge role. And we have put together 6. We each brought 2 of our favorite music movies over the last 2 years. We wanted to keep it fresh.
All of these honestly have come out in the last year.
Yeah.
And so some of them will be nominated and might win Oscars.
Some
of them have. I think, and we can go ahead and maybe we can go ahead and just say what they all are. Well, I don't know. How do you want to do this? We can all go one by one. We can all share what they are. If you're watching on YouTube, you see what they are. I'm just going to read them. 2 of these are nominated for Oscars. So I guess
three.
Wait, the 3. What's the third one? I know Summer of Soul, West Side Story, and Coda. Yeah, all 3 of those nominated for Oscars. 2 for Best Picture, West Side Story and Coda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and Summer of Soul for Best Documentary.
Summer of Soul for Best Documentary. And then the other 3 we chose are actually all just music documentaries for artists. So we have Olivia Rodrigo. I think that's the newest one of the bunch, for Driving Home to You, doc. Yeah, literally last week. We also have. Oh, sorry. I thought.
Oh no! I was just saying. Oh wow! Like that, it came out last week.
Oh, sorry.
I thought I froze.
Oh, bro. But he said, "Oh, bro," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I thought you froze too. This man was literally still.
I was like,
man.
We're also going to be talking about Juice WRLD's HBO documentary episode. It was part of the Music Box series they have. It's titled Juice WRLD Into the Abyss, and then Disney Plus's Beatles documentary, The Beatles Get Back. I think we all chose these for very different reasons, but I'm excited to talk about every single one of them. I'd say let's start with the Best Picture nominees. Keep it current. Oh, which one? That's right. I don't know.
Yeah, which one do we want to go with first?
Coda's at the top. So who? Avery, that was you. Tell us why.
Talk about Coda. I've heard about this.
Yes, this is probably like the least music-y of this one. Is kind of takes advantage of our definition of a music movie. But it's about a deaf family, and the daughter of the family can hear, and her family's a fishing family, and she knows how to sign. So she's usually the liaison between the family and everyone else in the town, helping them translate. She's also a very talented singer, and so she starts singing in her music class, and her teacher is trying to help her get into Berklee College of Music. And that's her passion. But obviously her family cannot partake in her passion due to their disability. So there's no like original music in the movie, but she's singing a lot of covers. and her voice is amazing. I think the lead actress in it is incredible because she does sign language, she can sing, she can act. The other actors in the movie are deaf actors, and they're amazing. Particularly the father, who's nominated, Tony Kotzer, is nominated tonight for Best Actor, or Best Supporting Actor. And yeah, Coda. It's a really beautiful, like, if there is one Oscar movie you watch, because you know a lot of Oscar movies are a little pretentious. If there's one you watch, it should be this one, just because it's like it's a family movie and it's really heartwarming, and it's just like a really nice feel good movie. So
I think that's one thing that's understated, like about it's just in general, like representation in movies. Like you saying this is a deaf family, and obviously they could have just got some random actors and said they're deaf. But like the fact that they got deaf actors, I think is an important piece of this. You know, some people would just say like, you know, they're actors, they can play any role, but I think that's important, you know, for representation and whatnot.
Yeah, and damn near half the dialogue in the movie is in sign language. It's really cool.
I feel like that's even. I think that's almost what makes this stand out to me even more. Like for years, decades, we've heard, or honestly watched as like filmmakers have such a hard time figuring out narratives around disability that don't end with like, oh, pity them, or just aren't like so one-dimensional, you know? Like I remember there was a movie that Sia did that was similarly about like a disabled autistic child and really centered music, and that had a lot of backlash. I remember that. You know, I think it was called Sing or Smile or something, but it had a lot of backlash. For one, because they cast a, you know, Maddie Ziegler, who is a dancer,
I remember that,
an actress, as like to fake
no disability.
I think she was the character was like autistic or something.
Yeah,
and she had no. Yeah.
And then also it was just like, it was really sort of this like one-dimensional view of this character, you know, that tried to be nuanced and complex, but didn't really nail it. And I feel Coda is getting so much praise because of how much it tried to just be authentic with the way it was depicting this family. All the tension that is going to be there, but also not letting it be the sole thing that defines them, you know? And I think it was even cooler. I'm not gonna like, I haven't watched it yet, but I still think it was, based on what I've heard and like the trailers I've seen and stuff, I think it's cool how music is sort of used within this dynamic. Like, think about it. You have a family of hearing impaired people. The sole person who's able to sort of provide them access into, you know, or help them with their access into like society is blessed with this ability that they can't even hear. Like, blessed with this voice, this talent, this skill that they can't even see. That's such a dynamic you don't hear a lot, and I can appreciate them, you know, putting that.
And you can see like the tension with the parents wanting to understand, but they like literally cannot. You know, the tension of the movie also is that obviously she wants to go to college, but then if she goes, like, who's going to help that family talk to the rest of the people in the town, right? And they're already like, they do get made fun of in the town by the other fishermen and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, this is something we talk about, like, this matters in movies and music, kind of connecting the two. We talk about, you know, that we were just talking about it last week, like, on authenticity that comes across in music. Like, you know, when somebody's being real about, like, who they are, what they've been through, it comes across in the music. Even though there's rappers who fake talk about, like, hey, I did this, I was doing this. But when it's real, it's more, it connects with people more. And this is this, I mean, from what Avery said, I trust Avery in his movies, you know, if Avery likes something, it's usually pretty good. But, like, the fact that they got, you know, deaf actors and whatnot, that emotion can actually, I assume, comes across on screen, because that's something they've probably gone through a similar situation. Not like obviously the exact same family dynamic, but like a similar situation of like listening to music. I mean, not being able to hear what people, you know, are enjoying, which is music. So I think that's important. It's important in, you know, both industries, you know.
There's this one scene, I don't want to spoil it. There's this one scene towards the end of the movie where it's between the dad and the daughter. And no, it's just like, you can see him understand that she's good at this. And it's just like, I don't want to spoil how, it's such a beautiful moment. I don't know, it's a really beautiful movie.
It makes you feel all tingly. It makes you feel all tingly inside.
Yeah, my eyes got a little wet. You know,
okay. You cried, huh? Okay.
Avery, can I ask you about this film again, since we haven't watched? Is there any? I often love how music is used to like set a tone, or as almost like to be another character. Was there anything like that, whether it's in the song she's performing or the songs that they play that are, you know, that sort of tells you more about this character? Like, what are the songs she's singing? I guess we could start there.
They're like older duets and like kind of older, and I think she does like a, like an Alanis Morissette song, I want to say,
Mm-hmm.
or someone in that lane, like 90s kind of vibe.
Okay.
But the way they've used music is like she sings when she's alone and in the house because she knows that no one else can hear it.
Yeah.
And then so she has to learn how to sing in front of other people that can hear what she's singing. And then it's her becoming comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And then also trying to get her family to understand that she likes and is good at it.
That's interesting.
They use music as a way for her to express, I guess, you know, it's a character who doesn't feel like she's understood by her family a ton.
Yeah.
Just because she can't.
I mean, that's a tug of war, like not being able to express, like, you know, this love you have for something. Like, if there's something I enjoy, but your family didn't know, like, hey, I'm good at this, or this is something I enjoy. That's a tough thing. Or they can't like comprehend of like, wow, this is something my daughter, really brother, you know, they can't comprehend it. You know, they just can't.
That is fascinating.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah, and I'm sure the music, if you like pick apart what she's singing, you can relate it to the situation.
Sure. Yeah.
But just on the surface itself of like how she's doing it, especially at the end of the movie, it all ties together, and music is used so well, I think.
Oh, I'm excited. Sure. I can't wait to check that out. I mean, okay. So I guess moving on. Noah, you have 2 Oscar picks, so pick one to talk.
I'll stick with the theme of like storytelling, because I know we have like a lot of docs in a row, so we can just kind of tackle those and connect those. So I'll go with West Side Story, which I picked the original one from the 1960s back when we did it a year ago. But I did the remake. You know, if you guys know this, West Side Story is one of my all-time movies. I love that movie, the original, so much. I was there was some apprehension of, you know, going to watch the remake, you know what I'm saying? Because that's kind of like Hollywood these days, like a remake of the remake, you know what I'm saying? And obviously West Side Story is basically Shakespeare, you know, it's a Shakespeare thing, you know, Romeo and Juliet. So, but I really enjoy this movie. I really enjoy this movie a lot. And obviously this is a musical, but the musical aspect I think is more strategically used in this version of the movie. You know, I spoke to my dad the other day. I was talking about, the new West Side Story movie is really good. And I was like, if you're talking about strictly musical, like what music I enjoyed better, I might say the original 1960s movie. But the strategic use of it in this one is better used. And the storytelling, you know, to get to the movie aspect, it's obviously more layered. There's more characters are more fleshed out. But I think like the context of like when songs are used are like, for example, one of my favorite songs in the original movie is called, you know, Boy, Boy, Crazy Boy. And the original was kind of like a scene after they had basically like a gang fight and somebody died, and it was just them all, you know, freaking out. And this one, it was like a whole nother original scene where, you know, Tony's trying to stop what's the main gang leader's name? I always forget his name. I forgot his name all the time. Riff. No, Riff. He's Tony's trying to stop Riff from like.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's so good.
Riff bought a gun, and you know Tony's trying to get him to stop using the gun. He's like, boy, on the bridge.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just more strategically used, and it's just way better used. And I really like that. There was another scene with Maria where she's her job is like they clean a store. They're like, you know, they're basically janitors essentially, which is a new role that they got in this movie. And she's talking about how she basically you know, she has these dreams about how she's in love with this boy, and she's singing about how she's in love with this boy, and it's just real aspirational. It's just used in a better context in the original movie. So yeah, man, I thought this, sorry for the background if you guys can hear that, but yeah, I thought this was really well done. I really enjoyed it. I don't know
what I think of whenever I hear sirens like this, just since it's there. Yeah. I don't know what the first thing that comes to my mind is. Ring the alarm. I've been through this too long. I'll be damned if my arm. That was stupid. But no, hold on. Let me ask you a question then. I've seen some people say that they think this version is better than the original 1961 one, which was praised for like
one of them.
Years. Yeah, Avery is one of them. I'm curious what your take is.
Man. Honestly, my heart just won't allow me to say that. Like, I just genuinely, because like, there's so much baggage of me just like enjoying this when I first saw it when I was like 10 years old and my dad watching it, and like there's so much baggage of coming with it, of like me watching it all the time, remembering all the songs and like the historical context of it. So I just not willing to say that. But there are elements that are like just well like it obviously it's done in, you know, the 21st century, so it looks better. But like the storytelling's more fleshed out, characters more fleshed out. Their story, characters actually have like personalities. You know what I'm saying? Which is one of the flaws of the original movies. But I'm not.
Nostalgia won't let you say that.
It just won't allow me to do that. It just like it's kind of like the Michael Jordan LeBron thing. Like, man, LeBron's good, but Mike's my guy. Like, I'm
it's
just
just
not
like
able to say that.
and I'm basically like a Steven Spielberg stan though, but like it's the idea that like our greatest living filmmaker remade what in my like one of the great musicals of all time, and I was like, there's so much passion put into it. It's just like, and like it shows, like it really does show. Like it's such a
he definitely improved on like some of the flaws of that movie. Like he kind of wasn't like. I think you could still watch both movies and enjoy both because it's just this new one's essentially just like a more expanded version of it. Like.
Yeah, but and there's some easy fixes you can make just because that one was made so long ago.
It was a long time ago, obviously.
Actual Puerto Rican
casting, exactly. The main character Bernardo, he's basically the other gang leader. The original actor was Greek, and they basically just darkened his skin. But that's another problem. But I
like how they made him like he was kind of scary in this movie. He was like, I was like, like he was a boxer. I was like, okay, this guy's like intimidating in this movie.
Exactly. But I mean that's another thing too. Oh, here we go again. But I've been foolish too long. I'll be damned if I see another. Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Y'all see where I'm at? Y'all see what's going down? But yeah, man, I just yeah, I'm in the hood, huh? But nah, man, I really did enjoy this movie, and it seems like it could quite possibly actually win Best Picture. Like this is.
Wait, I have one more question. How else would you say they refreshed the soundtrack? I know you mentioned that one song, but how? Like, I'm assuming they of course put like a more modern twist on it.
Yeah.
How would you say?
Well, I would say this. They didn't. All the songs that were in the original were not in the new one, and they actually had some new songs too. But I would say this is probably part more like the choreography part of it. But I think it still could be a part of the music. But I Like to Be in America. That's actually one of the standout songs from the original. And this one, it was kind of a whole scene of like, because in the original, it's essentially talking about they're Puerto Rican. They're talking about I like to be in America. Bernardo's like, I should go back to Puerto Rico. And the original, they're just on a rooftop at night singing about it. In this movie, it's a whole thing of like they bring the whole community about like it's like they're outside. They're with people in the community talking about. There's people out there protesting for their rights. There's Puerto Rican people out there protesting for their rights. They're talking about people who want to be in this community, people who are like fighting to, have their rights in the United States. And then there's this other group of people who are like, you know what, we're treated like trash here. It's terrible. And I think there was just better overall like emotion involved in the songs. If you get what I'm saying, it wasn't just like, oh, there's a cool song. It was more emotional, gravitas to like to the songs in this movie, which I really enjoyed.
I feel that's a very succinct way to put it. I look forward to seeing if it's gonna win tonight. I think it
might actually win.
I've never seen a movie that has like so critically acclaimed by everyone.
Well, that's what's interesting.
It's also considered a box office bomb because it didn't reach the budget. Sorry for being negative, but
no, yeah, exactly. But what's interesting too? The fact that it's a remake and it's getting I'm actually more impressed with the fact because the remake got like every Oscar. Rita Moreno became a superstar.
Yeah, that's the other thing is Ariana.
The original,
DeBose,
exactly
the
exact same character is
probably gonna win another Oscar. So it's like
that's exactly what I'm saying.
It's this kind of random movie trivia. It's gonna be the third role if she wins, which she probably will. It's gonna be the third role that multiple actors have won an Oscar
for the same role. Yeah.
So whoever the writer is for that character needs to be put in some Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
The
actress. It's this character. It's Don Corleone from The Godfather.
Yes, that's right.
And then do you guys know what the third one is?
What?
I don't.
The Joker.
You're right. Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger. I should have knew that. I knew those other two. Good one. Yeah. Good little tidbit. Yeah. So if you enjoy musicals, I think you should watch this. The story's actually really good. It's long. It's a long movie, but I think it's worth it. The movie's beautiful too. The movie's beautiful. It looks great. But yeah.
So I think just for the sake of continuing our trend, and maybe we can differentiate the three back-to-back artist specific docs. Let's go ahead and do Summer of Soul, which was Questlove's new project for Hulu, And
Yeah.
I'll let you explain it, but I think the premise of this is like incredibly fascinating.
Yeah, man, this is actually a really enjoyable watch. Summer of Soul is about the 1969 Harlem Cultural Festival, which, if you guys didn't know, was the same year as Woodstock. Same summer, same everything. And as we know, Woodstock became a cultural phenomenon, a cultural event, shifted the culture in music and rock and roll. It's a moment in music history that obviously was cemented. But the same summer, the Harlem Cultural Festival happened, and after that there was footage. They recorded the whole thing, and after that the footage basically disappeared, which is one of the
They put it in the basement and didn't look back for decades, which is ridiculous.
Look back for decades, yeah. And that's actually one of the gripes I have with the documentary. I wish they kind of touched on that more. But I'll just say some of the acts that were here that performed here. Stevie Wonder. I'll say notable acts. Stevie Wonder, Gladys Knight and the Pips. I'm trying to think of somebody else.
BB Winans was there. Mavis Staples was there.
Nina Simone. David Ruffin, the lead singer of The Temptations. I mean, Fifth Dimension, Eddie Hawkins, singers, Pop Staple and the Staple Singers, Mahalia Jackson, Ben Branch. Yeah, man, it was Ray Barretto. There's this guy from Hugh Masekela. He's from South Africa. It was a lot of people. Jesse Jackson was there and whatnot. And it was just kind of like this interesting, because obviously it wasn't just about the Harlem Culture Fair. It was kind of talking about like what was going on at the time. Like one of my favorite parts of the movie is when they're talking about, because I think it happened over 3 weekends in 1969. And they were talking about how at that same time, a man went on the moon. And they showed these clips of them interviewing white people like, man, this is such a scientific achievement. I cried. It's so amazing. And then they're interviewing black people at the Harlem Culture Festival. Like, honestly, they could have put that movie to like feeding poor people in Harlem or feeding poor people. Like, this doesn't really matter. I think the Harlem Cultural Festival is just as impactful as a man going on the moon, which is kind of crazy because like, does it really matter that a man went on the moon? It really doesn't matter that much, honestly.
But
just like, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, to your point about like how the movie isn't just about the music. They also put a lot of effort into the context of the time. My favorite part of this film was them detailing why this concert was so important.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like, for one, you have to understand. My favorite, it opens by them saying like, them talking to festival goers and them saying like, I had never seen that many black people at one time.
It was like 300,000 black people.
300,000 people, just a sea of black. A sea of black.
That's insane.
And you think about the festival, the hip hop festivals and rap festivals that happen now. It's like they're not a sea of black. It's honestly a ton of like young white kids, just maybe sprinkles of black here and there, typically. Which is like, whatever, times have changed. Yeah. But it's like at this time, it was so important that be a black moment because of what the prior years had been. And that's why I love it. I'm a history buff. Like this is 1969. It's like a year before Martin Luther King was killed. A year before that, Bobby Kennedy was killed. A year before, or like around the same time, Bobby Kennedy was killed. Before that, Malcolm X was killed. It was JFK, like the civil rights movement, but there was also
5 years after.
Yeah, you had so many subsequent losses around this time that the black community was incredibly demoralized. And I know just through some of the work I've done for my real job that also around this time you had a wave of violence like around nationwide over this anger that people were feeling, palpable anger at like lynchings and deaths and just murders and feeling like nobody cared about the black community.
Yeah, there was a shift in like the perception of black people, and that's actually one of the things that was notable because this journalist, I forgot to write her name down, she was at the New York Times, and they were talking about how there was a shift between using the word Negro and using the word black, and how pre that time it was like if you called somebody a black person, they would hate you. They didn't like that. That was a diss. That was a shot. And essentially it was a shift of like, black pride. This is, Black Panthers, this is 70s. This is wearing dashikis. This is, let's go back to the motherland. Black Panthers, Black Power. It was that, kind of that being pushed in the mind's eye. And yeah, man, it was just like, it should have been and it's interesting because at the end, one of the guy who filmed the thing, he was like, I was trying to kind of hoping to have the same impact as Woodstock. I was calling it a Black Woodstock, and people really didn't care. And this should have been a cultural shift.
Because it was. I mean, it was a Black Woodstock.
It was.
And I think you could even argue it was more important than Woodstock for that time, just because this wasn't just like a festival that was arranged. This was something that the mayor of New York at that time planned to ensure that there wasn't going to be a wave of violence because people were pissed and demoralized. Yeah. Like this concert was free for everyone because
it was free.
I forgot his name, but the mayor of New York at the time you could argue maybe some of it was for a PR stunt, whatever, but he was like, I'm gonna fund this so that we can give them something that of just joy, you know.
Which mayor was this? Do you remember?
Guy Googled his name because hold on,
I can find it. You can keep talking.
No, I can. Okay, well, yeah, I know if you find it, because I did a whole deep dive into him, because apparently this mayor was Menzies. Am I thinking? No, that's not it. It's
John Lindsay.
Wait, say it again.
John Lindsay.
You see how I always be kind of right, but I'd be wrong. I said Menzies. What does that even mean? It was Lindsay. It was John Lindsay. And the whole thing was right. Like during all the protests, civil rights protests, he would be on the ground, right? So like he had standing with the Black community, and they literally planned this to avoid violence. And you just don't. I think that speaks to the healing power of music. And, you know, knowing the documentary, they talk about how gospel at the time that was therapy. You know.
Oh, like, yeah, man. One of the songs, "Oh Happy Day." It's so crazy that doesn't happen now. But like, "Oh Happy Day" was like a #1 song. That would never happen now, like unless it was Kanye or whatever. But you know, whatever. But like, it was just so, and it's just like we really don't. And I was just thinking about this. Like, we really don't get this collection of like Black culture all at once. Like, yeah, there's a hip hop festival, and most of them are Black. Or like there's a soul R&B festival. You mean the Roots is having a festival, crying out loud. But like, I can't imagine that being just like a sea of Black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, that just doesn't exist anymore, which is so crazy, because that just speaks to like how commercial Black culture is right now, and how Black culture is popular culture right now. And that's just so insane.
Do you guys know where this movie debuted? In a little town called Columbia, Missouri. Oh, at the True Falls Film Festival.
Oh, wait, this debuted at True Falls. Columbia, Missouri.
Shout out Columbia. Okay. Shout out Columbia. That's crazy. That's super dope.
That's really funny.
But I will say, so Summer of Soul is one of the 6 movies nominated for Best Music Film at the Grammys. I'm like, we could have just also reviewed.
Best documentary.
Oh, Best Documentary at the Grammys.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. At the wait, no. I'm about to confuse myself.
Oh, you're saying Grammys? My bad.
At the Oscars, they're nominated for Best Doc. At the Grammys, is nominated. No. Wait. Yes. At the Grammys, it's nominated for Best Music Film.
Oh, we could have just talked about those.
And it's probably gonna win tonight.
I hope it wins.
Best documentary feature. It's probably gonna win.
Yeah.
I think it was amazing.
But, I definitely want to check it out. My brother saw it in theaters last year. He really loved it.
Summer of Soul?
Yeah.
It's really good. Dope. No, it's like
it's really good.
Film.
And they show like a lot of the acts, like Lin-Manuel Miranda's in it. He's talking about like there's this Puerto Rican artist, Ray Barretto. Like it's really good. It's like you basically get to watch the whole thing essentially, so it's pretty awesome. So yeah.
All right, so
there's
now
a lot more, but yeah.
We have 3 documentaries remaining, and I wanted us to save these 3 because they're all artist specific, which is something that none of the other movies talked about yet. Good point. So we have the 3 remaining: Music Box, Juice WRLD, The Beatles Get Back, and Olivia Rodrigo's Driving Home to You, which was the latest to come out. I have the most to say about Juice WRLD, so y'all can tell me how y'all want me to handle it, because I'm gonna talk about Juice WRLD for a minute. So
talk about it.
Should that be last? Should that be down?
Nah, go ahead. Talk about it, because we've already. I went back to back, so.
Basically, the Juice WRLD Into the Abyss documentary.
Well, can you give a context on what Music Box is? Like, it's a series of documentaries.
Okay, so Music Box is a series of documentaries which apparently Bill Simmons is helping produce. That basically they highlight specific music acts and sort of show like, the ups and downs, the drama. They have one about DMX. They have one about Juice WRLD. I want to say they have one about Alanis Morissette. I think.
Yeah.
They do. So they made this one about Juice WRLD, and I remember when they announced it, Juice WRLD's moment was so weird because it was so quick and so short. Like, he was here, he was super famous, and then he was gone in literally the span of like 1.5 to 2 years. So him as an artist and a musician was always fascinating to me, just how someone could amass that much popularity so quickly, right? And I'd been meaning to watch it and just decided I'd check it out. And as you'll see by my 2 picks, my favorite sort of documentaries are the type that make you feel like you're just a fly on the wall, that just allow you don't really rely on editing and interviewing as much. They just show you this person and allow you to come to your own assessment of who they are.
Kind of like the Kanye one. Kind of.
Exactly. I think the Beatles one is like the most clear instance, but this Juice WRLD one did a great job because you basically get to meet this incredibly talented musician who at the age of, I want to say he was 19, 20, 21 throughout this, had released singles that had gotten billions of streams, had released had a Billboard Hot 100 hit, multiple of them, was considered like up and coming, was working with Drake, was working with all these huge acts, or at least competing with Drake. You know, Juice WRLD had numbers that were competing with Drake and like The Weeknd, and they cite that, you know, and you see that, you know, this kid could just go into a music studio and just spit. He was exclusively freestyle. He would have these incredibly raw, dark lyrics, but they would just be freestyle. He'd step in the studio and just go. And he could record like 10 songs in a row just talking. And you see him do this, and it's like, wow, like, I get it now. You were incredible. You see that songs like Lucid Dreams and all those, the darker songs that you're like, oh no, he had to have sat down and wrote that. He just will talk. It's coming straight from the soul, you know? And it's incredible to watch, which is what makes the other side of this so sad. Because throughout this exact documentary, as you're a fly on the wall and you're just following this guy as he goes to the studio and goes to his events and does his performances and is on tour and is with his girlfriend and, you know, is having fun, you see how much drug use is ingrained into the fabric of this man's life.
Just like him doing it.
You see how, and he says on camera, which is so, it's almost eerie. He'll look at the camera and say, I want you to show everything. I don't care. You know, you know, don't edit out anything for me. And, you know, let's say, even if I'm doing heroin, you have to promise, don't edit it out. And you see, he just pops pills all day, smokes all day, but it's mostly opioid use. And I mean, dozens, like just constant, nonstop use of perks. You're drinking lean all the time. And it's, just watching it is just so insane, because you're balancing these two views of someone, how someone can have so much talent but also like clearly is battling demons and is open about that. You know, Juice WRLD in his songs would say some wild stuff. I want to die, I have the demons inside me, I feel, you know, I feel like I'm nothing, I take the perks, it's the only way I can cope. Like, he's openly saying this in his music, and again, he freestyles, so this isn't like he's thinking, he literally just goes. And you hear this man literally, I interpret it as like crying for help in like the most commercial way possible, if that makes sense. And like no one's able to really help him. And that's the theme from start to end. This incredibly talented kid who clearly was battling demons, who had a girlfriend that in some scenes, you know, they talk about how, yeah, you know, we don't allow lean in the house anymore. You know, we're done with that. We don't allow, you know, we're trying to slow him down. He talks about near-death experiences he's had in the past. You see him like take pills and like, you know, do the whole like, oh shit, you know, you see all of this, but no one was able to help him in time. And I was gonna say I don't want to spoil the ending, but I guess people know how it ends. But it's all more heartbreaking the way he passed, which you get inside of. So
from what I'm getting from this, essentially, like, there's no like interviews. It's kind of just like footage of him just like on tour and stuff and whatnot.
They have 5 minutes like ish of interviews at the beginning where they sort of set the scene, people who are close to him.
Yeah.
The rest of the movie's all footage, and you don't get interviews again until the very end, when you're talking to everyone who was there when he died. Here's the backstory if you don't know how Juice WRLD passed. About a week after his birthday, he was flying back home to Chicago because, you know, he wanted to celebrate with family and friends. He rode private at this point because, again, incredibly famous, had a lot of money. Him and his people got on this plane. I guess they made the pilots wait for hours. They were late, whatever. As they get on the plane, they're not taking off for about 20 minutes, and they're wondering why, what's going on. The pilots had apparently flagged federal agents that they thought there were drugs and weapons on board this plane. They didn't voice any of this to Juice WRLD or his people beforehand. They still actually went on with the flight, but still did that warning. When they land, there's already an entire team of agents waiting for them to arrest them, basically. Juice WRLD, we think, who at this point, according to his girlfriend, wasn't supposed to be having like this stuff on him. When he saw the cops, took whatever he had and tried to swallow it to like get rid of the evidence, and shortly after started convulsing, and he died. And you hear, you know, the kid Leroy, my whole take of him has changed completely because he was there apparently, and not even apparently, you see it, he was there. And it is just heartbreaking because the question they asked is like, you know, do you think he knew? They asked everyone, do you think he knew he was gonna die? And all of them say yes. And Lil Bibby, who apparently was like, who oversaw the label Juice WRLD was on or something, was like, the dude more than 20 times in his music said, I want to die. I listened to it all. I listened to all his stuff. And again, he doesn't write. He just freestyles. It's all coming straight from here. He doesn't even give himself time to think. He just goes. That was his talent. So you know what he's saying he means. And you just had this 21-year-old kid who had lyrics about how he wasn't going to make it past 21, literally not make it past 21, because even though he was clearly crying for help constantly, no one was able to intervene. And he died. So I don't know. I felt so many things by the time I was done watching this. So many things. I went through a deep Juice WRLD phase. I think his music was incredible. It immediately became obvious to me why he was so popular among like the youth, because he was so like raw. And even though, yeah, you could say he was advocating for whatever, he normalized perks, whatever, he was so authentic and had the uncanny ability of translating emotion to music. And it's just sad. It was just really sad. I was talking to Avery afterward. I was like, emo rap really is a wave. It's kind of faded away. And I wonder why. And I realized because like the people on the forefront died. Juice WRLD died. XXXTentacion died. And those are considered two of like the trailblazers of this new sound.
Yeah.
It's just sad. It's just really sad.
That is unfortunate. I mean, yeah, it's sad. Yeah, it's really tragic story. And, sometimes that's another thing with like, we talked about documentaries a while ago, and we talked about how like sometimes they can be used to show like people in a specific light. Like when you see like, oh, produced by the person it's about, you're like, oh, is this really what we're gonna get? And from what I'm getting from Nnamdi, like this is as realist and raw as the person himself, which is something I guess we all, we want from our, our these documentaries. We want them to be as real as we can possibly, but we don't want it to be fluffed up and whatnot. So
that's what I know his mom. I know it had to have been a sacrifice to approve for this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think it's one of the best documentaries I can remember watching because of how real it was, unedited. Because you see the good and the bad, and you need more of that. Yeah, you see that even though this kid was insanely nice and like sweet and generous and skilled and like and probably you have rappers saying he was one of the best they've ever seen at the studio because he could just ring them off.
Oh yeah, so those freestyles are legendary. Him going off like 10-15 minutes.
10-15 minutes. Yeah. And at the exact same time, you also see that he had a clear dependency on Percocets. He had a clear dependency on lean, and he had that before the money, right? Yeah. And once the money came, the quantities went up. And no one, despite the music, in his music, him telling you, I take perks to cope with my emotions. I want to die. I drink lean to numb the feelings. I do and again, freestyling, everyone always took it at face value. Yeah. And it just, I started getting mad at a whole bunch of people. That's a whole nother episode within itself, but it's just sad. It was very sad. Yeah. So,
Oof, man, tough.
Yeah, it's really sad.
It's sad. Nnamdi, kind of, I know there's not an easy way to kind of transition to like these other docs, but I do want to ask you about the Beatles one because I've heard some like multiple things about it, but I did hear like the footage of this one because give me the context of this because I've correct me if I'm wrong. This is like their last album. It's like them recording their last album and kind of like, and I've seen some clips. There's like a lot of clips of them arguing, going at it. Like it was kind of like the last album. You can kind of see them kind of breaking up right before our eyes.
Just sort of like this actually is kind of a good follow-up because it's sort of like the thing I'm saying where it's like the best sort of documentaries or the documentaries I enjoy the most are the ones that allow you to literally just be a fly on the wall. And that is exactly what this documentary did. It's a 3-part documentary series technically, but each part is like 2 hours. So you're getting a ton of unedited footage.
Oh, that's long.
And in each of these, the premise is the Beatles, who are already at this point at the height of their fame, but are starting to get some sort of difficulties, have gotten back together and have given themselves like, I think a month roughly to record an album, record a live performance of that album, some sort of movie component to this album, and also do a documentary within like a month. Because the Beatles, the way they created it's sort of the same way I'm just saying Juice WRLD could turn them out. They could get together, they just start going, and they could do a couple tracks a day. So, but again, at this time, they're already past that peak, and everyone's already a star of their own. And John Lennon now is with Yoko Ono, who you get to see how she plays a role in all of this. And everyone is sort of dibbled and dabbled in solo music, and you definitely see the tension because you're essentially just literally a fly on the wall as they do this. And over the course of this month, as you try to make this album, you see the stress, you see the pressure, you see the tension, you see Paul and John kind of nip back at some tension. You hear talks of them wanting to break up, which is I've never seen a doc that shows you that much. You hear talks of them talking about, Paul saying, if we're not going to take it seriously, if we're not going to be serious about it, then what are we doing it for? What are we doing it for? At one point, there's a whole fight and George walks out and he leaves I'm done. He says, I'm done. And then, you can tell Paul and George, they're petty teddies, them two, petty teddies.
The pettiness and the sort of...
I walked, I was walking around and I would see Nnamdi watching this because it's 9 hours long. So I'd catch little parts of it. There was not one part that I caught that wasn't them arguing about something. And specifically that George Harrison part, where I sat down for 3 seconds, watched it. The dude left, and then text comes on the screen he never came back.
Yeah. So it's you have to. So again, you see the dynamics. So it's even if you were just to talk, it's if you're the Beatles, and you're now all incredibly famous, right? But you all want to do your own thing, but you all have a specific benchmark of who gets how many songs in each album. Conflict's bound to happen. So this was really fascinating. Paul McCartney and John Lennon are considered one of the most historic, iconic writing duos ever.
Yeah,
and on the Beatles albums, they literally would have benchmarks. So it'd be John gets 3, Paul gets 3, maybe George gets 1, Ringo gets 1. That's how we'll do the breakdown. And you had George now, who was writing way more and had this whole sound he wanted to explore, was really coming into his own. But when they made that arrangement, he was just a guitarist. But now George wants to make songs. So, you have this extra dynamic of George saying, I want more songs on this project. And Paul saying, I don't think they're that good. Honestly, I don't, I think what she literally says, they're not that good, so
Dang.
that was the whole thing you see George literally walk out because they're fighting and he was over it. And Ringo is the one positive guy. Ringo's clearly the glue. Wait, let's say that. Clearly he's the glue. He's come on, guys. I wouldn't even say,
come on, guys.
Come on, boys.
Wait, was there any interviews? I didn't see. There was it was just all clips. That's super interesting.
The entire documentary was
there was text. I'm assuming there was text
on the wall. There'd be different types. When they perform a song, they'd do a little text of what the song was.
The year.
They needed to explain something. When George left, they explained George didn't come back this week. They had to. They tried again. They tell you later on. Paul, Ringo, and John decide to go to George's house and beg him to come back. George agrees to come back, but it's only down to do the album, the performance. He doesn't want to.
Took a lunch break. And he just never came back.
It's they
I'm going to lunch.
Fascinating. The thing I appreciated the most is even though I wasn't super aware of the Beatles growing up, I always knew the Yoko Ono rhetoric. I knew it meant to be called a Yoko or something, which you can argue that's rooted in racism and misogyny, but you see in this documentary what that dynamic was like, and you start to understand why it could have caused tension even if she didn't do anything, because John basically always had Yoko around. If John was sitting down, you bet your ass Yoko was going to be right there. And she was a musician in her own right. So you have Yoko sometimes doing trying to write songs, playing instruments, scream, very unique style. But and you see how that could be something that everyone gets mad at, especially when John and Paul were like this and used to do everything together, and now you have Yoko in the room, and you see the insecurities play out over that. You're just seeing all of this stuff for the most successful band ever. You're learning that, oh my God, y'all were human just like we are.
Well, yeah. And I think a lot of times we wonder, man, why'd they break up? They were so good together. The music they made was incredible. We, think of your favorite groups, your favorite bands of all time. Most times they're going to break up. It's just kind of bound to happen, which is unfortunate, except Amigos. I don't know if we count that, but the dudes are locked in. Them dudes never break up. But, it's interesting to see a peek of what kind of goes on in the background, because you have these 5 talented people who feel like they're all as equally a part of the success of the group. And there's going to be some...
Ooh, I'm actually glad you said 5, because even though there's 4, there was a 5th Beatle that I found out for the first time ever. And let me tell you something. He was a black man. His name specifically, actually.
They don't talk about that. They don't talk about that.
They don't talk about him. But if you're curious as to who he was, the name of that 5th Beatle was actually one that I'm sure you're going to recognize. And I'm going to tell you what it is because it was really fascinating. And I heard it and I was like, wow, he did that. Billy Preston. There we go. Billy Preston was his name, and he was his pianist who was like really who they'd met when they were touring earlier, and they were making these songs. They needed a pianist, so they called up their boy Billy, and there was honest conversation about making him a fifth Beatle. And I guess they never did it, but that was like a real life like thought. So it's kind of cool. They're all very progressive. You see them record a song that's now that turned into like an anthem against like just racism at the time called Get Back. Yeah, which was, so that was kind of funny.
I don't know. Remember we did that episode in 2020 about like some of the big songs that came from like protesting? I feel like that was one of them. Remember we did that episode? Absolutely. Remember that? We did that episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was one of them. That was like, these have gotten more streams based off, the Black Lives
And let's also talk about the fact that the Beatles literally decided one day they went on the top of a building in London, not too far from the Queen, and just did a whole live show. They didn't care, and they were blasting it. And this thing about like 1 p.m. all of a sudden, like you can't have a conversation outside because the Beatles.
Imagine you at work. You're like, bro.
But you get to see how like for the first hour it was cool. For the first hour it was cool, and then you see how police are trying to like shut it down the entire time. It's like if you're into documentaries where you're just like, I wonder how the Beatles like acted as the Beatles. This is like that. And I Hey, bruv, man. Bruv, turn that thing down, bruv. What are you doing?
Oh, man. Yeah, that's really interesting. Now, this next one, though, Avery, this next one. And, I don't know if we were talking about this on the show or, like, before the show, but we were talking about, like, these days. Because, like, it's interesting we're talking about the Beatles and, Summer of Soul. Those are, like, old, like, 1960s old footage or really old footage. And it's not... Even though obviously they were popular, but it was not as normalized to just have a camera on you at all times. Even though Beatles is like as popular as it gets. These days, if you're just like an artist that has like some kind of buzz or coming up, there's gonna be a camera on you.
You should probably have a camera.
You should probably have a camera on you recording everything you're doing.
And you're gonna be able to monetize it somehow.
Somehow you're gonna monetize it. You know what I'm saying? And Olivia Rodrigo is the latest example. I mean, we've had like so many contemporary artists now like just dropping like documentaries.
I can't
like
think of the last artist who's done it this effing like short in her career, though.
Bro, she's effing 18 years old, bro.
Her and Billy.
She's 19.
But like,
19.
I'll tell you why I think Billy's was different. Like, and I think there's a whole conversation about whether or not like.
Well, Billy's been in the public.
Early.
I think people forget. Olivia Rodrigo dropped her first album a year ago. Billie Eilish has been out for a while. There was some buzz. It wasn't like,
Ocean Eyes was like 2013.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Olivia Rodrigo just came out last year. Just last year. It's not a thing where she was kind of building up a lot of momentum, But I want to hear your thoughts on how you feel about this. Driving Home to You.
Yeah, Driving Home to You, a sour film, Olivia Rodrigo.
Oh my gosh.
It was a cool documentary. It's pretty short. It's like an hour, 16 minutes.
They're gonna use driver's.
Well, that's what I was gonna see. That's what I was gonna say. Because now, like, we're gonna have artists that are like 30 and have like 5 documentaries.
Well, but wait, Avery. So, what was the premise of it? Like, what was it about?
Yeah. So it's framed as it's like a road trip she's taking from Salt Lake City to Los Angeles. Salt Lake City is where she filmed her High School Musical, the musical show, where she met that boy.
They filmed that in Utah?
I think they filmed in Utah.
I have thoughts.
And it's like her driving from there to LA, and she's stopping along the way.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. Let him stop. And what is she doing?
Go ahead.
Stops.
And throughout the documentary, she's doing performances of the songs from the album. And there's some really
stops.
Yeah, when she stops. And they're like some of the performances are really nice, like really cool. And then cut throughout all of this, they basically go song by song and show how they were made in the studio between her and this guy Dan Negro, who like basically found out that she can write and sing. They talk about how the songs were written, when they were written, how she felt when she made them. I thought it was really interesting, and a lot of the critiques that we had from that review, she like knows, like she recognizes.
Wait, like what? Like how it was short and shouldn't have been an album?
Wait, what?
Wait, what critiques were you talking about?
How she was like, these are all the same, about the same thing.
Oh, same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Where she was like, should I really be focusing on this boy this much?
On this boy.
She was like, she made Brutal. That was the last song they made because she was like, this album's depressing. I need an upbeat song. They whipped Brutal out like that. like in one day after that conversation. Dan Negro had a guitar and just he played that guitar riff. And she's like, okay, I can work with this. And then they wrote Brutal and recorded it the next day. Like, it was pretty cool how and the album was made on a whim, obviously. It was made after the success of Driver's License. She was like, I want to make an album. And then they made this. It's really interesting how it all came together so fast.
But I think that confirms all our thoughts.
That's what makes it so interesting. Literally, it was exactly what we all thought. Driver's License came out, then we were like, oh, we need to put out an album like that, and they just put it out.
And the fact that it came together so fast, and I think also to me how good it was, is very impressive.
Oh yeah, I think we all acknowledge it was good, and it seemed tons of critical acclaim. I think we would all agree.
I think we all acknowledge Leftist wanting more, and I'm glad she understands why.
Well, yeah, there was nitpicks obviously, but I think overall, I think the feelings were overall positive. Like, dude, like when that album came out, dude, like. I mean,
it's nominated for Album of the Year.
The whole thing just shifted. Like it just everybody is like universally like.
Driver's License wasn't even the first song she wrote. It was Happier, which is on the album. Happier is the first song she wrote, and she put it out. I forgot where, but she put it out and she didn't like it because she didn't think it got enough likes. Like she hated that song.
Oh, that is so teen. Oh, she's just like
it was very Gen Z. And then this guy found it and they made the album together. It also struck me how involved in the process.
Wait. That's how they got together. He literally just found that song. Like, let's do something.
And obviously, by the way, she's also famous at this time, right? Like relatively. Yeah, okay. She's also on a TV show.
Yeah.
But
she's not a nobody.
Yeah. It also struck me how involved she was in she didn't just write and record and go home. Like she would write and record and then sit there at the computer with him and they'd be listening together. And
you mean how involved the music making process?
Yeah, just it wasn't in the production she was like, I wasn't take that out.
It wasn't like she was just turning in vocals and then he was doing everything else.
They were in this one room as a studio, but she's in this one room with him. It was just the two of them making this whole album. And
you know what this reminds me an awful lot of?
Well, say it.
You probably guess.
Say
the Billy documentary. Ooh, not the new one, not the Disney Plus one. I mean the Apple one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which was very similar in its approach, how it detailed that. Well, no, not different styles. So I do think that Olivia's concept of doing the driving thing is kind of brilliant, and it speaks to her two sides very well.
Driver's license.
It's the driver's license theme very well.
It was a very creative way to tell that story. So I don't want to compare in the sense of sliding it, but I think the Billy one was similar in that it detailed the creation of that debut album that became insanely big, but also the difference between the Billy one. So, okay, I think there's a conversation to be had about how early is too early for a documentary. Yeah. This one, I think, gets away with it because it's not really, I think they're smart for branding it as a sour film as opposed to
I agree.
Rodrigo documentary.
It's like a long music video.
It's like a long
visual album, basically.
Exactly. It's a visual album, which I think is great.
That's cool.
Billy's was very much more a documentary, but the difference and the reason why I think it worked was because it detailed the explosion of her fame. This was while she was recording that debut album. And if you recall, before that debut album, Billy was a name, but she wasn't big by any means, So that documentary was really, really fascinating because you literally watch this girl who's living with her parents and making this album with her brother in her room and is still hanging out with her high school boyfriend. You watch this girl now explode into this star and you see her start going on tour and doing these huge festivals and her injuries and all this stuff and her dealing with her fame. It was so fascinating,
Well, we're just in the time of people in general just taking control of the narratives. We see this every in sports, we have at Tom Brady he has his own production company, or LeBron James is doing a doc, or he's probably going to produce his own doc on the what's it called, what's his little imprint called, I forgot, but yeah, man, these athletes are going to take control of their narrative. They're going to have film crews around them. They're going to be I'm going to tell my story. We're seeing that in sports. We're seeing it in music. Artists are just going to have this is just what it is now. We're going to have multiple artists doing I'm going to do a doc on this or on this, I did a movie. Here's me doing this movie, or here's me doing, making this album or this song or this thing. It's just going to them capitalize. Obviously, it's obviously for financial gain too, which is not a problem. But obviously, it's just artists take control of their narrative. Imagine this, if Britney Spears was living now, I mean, not living now. She's obviously alive. But like, imagine like back then, she had like the power that artists are kind of given now to kind of.
The minute she broke up with JT, just wait for my documentary series.
Just wait for my documentary, or wait for the. Back then would have been a book, but that never happened. But like, it's like wait for my documentary. It's like think about that now of like how she could have taken control of her narrative back then. You would assume because she was that same level of fame as Olivia Rodrigo and Billie Eilish is now, or some people would argue bigger, like she was the pop star. Think about that, and think about like the artists now, where like. It's kind of like, I want to create a doc to tell my story on this. So it could be a good and bad thing. So
it's cool. There's some if you like the album, you got an hour to kill. I think it's worth a watch.
Oh yeah.
There's some really cool tidbits in here. Like she reads.
Does it make you like the album even more?
I think so. Yeah, and like I think just knowing how involved she is was very cool. And like she reads her diary entry from the day she got her driver's license. You see the pressure she was like little clips of the pressure she was under after like. Driver's License is the biggest song in the world, and she like hates the next song that she's about to put out. She's like, I don't like this song. She's like, it's not gonna be as good.
Tough.
And like,
oh my god,
that pressure. And she's like 18. Like that's an
insane.
18-year-old girl with that pressure on her shoulders. It's very interesting to watch.
I think and this kind of speaking to like, even though this wasn't like an official release, but like the Dreamville documentary, it was obviously like a little YouTube thing. But like that made me like the album so much more. Of like, oh man, it's so cool how they were all in the studio together working on it. Like, if you really enjoy Olivia Rodrigo and you really enjoy Sour, I assume this would be like a thing of like, man, this makes me even want to go back and listen to it again. Like every once in a while, I'll be listening to the Dreamville compilation. I'll be like, man. They were really all in the studio, just like putting verses down,
hyping each other up.
I completely agree with that. That sometimes watching an artist make an album makes you love that album even more. I'm sure if I watch this Olivia Rodrigo thing, I'm going to listen to Sour 3 more times and become a bigger fan.
For sure. She also is like doing these performances of songs throughout the thing, so you're like watching her perform. There's one song she does, "Good for You," with an orchestra in like the middle of the desert. So sick. It sounds amazing. Like. The song with heavy guitar sounds amazing with just a string orchestra and her singing over it. Really cool.
I feel like we're gonna check it out. I like the mix of films we've highlighted today. We had a very eclectic mix of and I think it shows how music can be used in movies. Like you can have documentaries, but you also have like masterpieces like Coda that are completely like different in their approach. So anyway, I really like when we do this episode. I hope we continue the tradition next year. I guess we'll find out which of these won Best Picture by the time this episode comes out. So that'll be good to note. But okay, guys, I feel like that was a very comprehensive, well-rounded discussion. Tweet us what your favorite music movie is at the 97 Demo if you see I'm plugging that much more. So check us out on all platforms at the 97 Demo. Now for our industry highlights segment. A couple things I want us to talk about, you guys. The first thing. Glass Animals is still number 1 with Heat Waves. They've been there for 3 weeks now. So that's good for them. But other things we may want to talk about, Dua and Meg's Sweetest Pie debuted at number 15. I remember us talking about how we think that may do. That was at number 15. Very good for both of them. Shout out to our last episode, Lil Durk's review of 7220 and Tana Talk. Lil Durk's, and I pretty sure got the entire album on here. The highest charting is Aha at 18. What Happened to Virgil's at 24. Petty 2's at 26. No Interviews at 30. Golden Child at 34. And it just continues and continues and continues. Broadway Girls is out there. I think that was the final top 40 track. So I see you're highlighting Something the Way by Nirvana. Why is that there?
It was the song that was in the Batman.
That
song's like 20 years old.
That's why
is on the chart now.
So Something in the Way by Nirvana, because of its use in Batman, jumped, showed up on the chart again at number 46. And this may not be a re-entry. I think it's a new entry. So that's new. That's incredible. And
that's insane. Yeah, that does. And it's even crazier because Nirvana's like obviously like a legendary group, and it's like, oh, this hasn't been in the top 100 before. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but what do you guys?
Nirvana fans are like, oh, I've been on this.
No, for real. I would be if I was a fan.
It's so funny that this song is like popular now because it's like it was just a good song on
it's kind of
it's just a song.
It's
nothing. It's just. I mean, watch the movie. You sad? Watch that movie. That's a. What's so crazy? What Happened to Virgil? That's like a little TikTok thing now. That's like a little TikTok trend. What happened to
How
Virgil?
y'all make a TikTok trend out of a song?
I know, bro. It's crazy. I know it's crazy.
What is going on with this generation?
And people will do it like it's two ways. It'll be like, like a guy's that's down there. He's like, man, what happened to Virgil? It's like say your dude that gets all the girls and now he has a girlfriend. They'll be like, oh, what happened to Virgil? It'll be like anything.
Avery, I don't feel like we ever really go to 23. I don't think we ever talked about the Weeknd Post Malone collab that much. One right now, which is it's very old. Well, at this point, it's been on the show for 20 weeks, but I can't think of what this sounds like. So I'm like, do we not?
I like the song.
Avery loves Post Malone. He loves Weeknd. So this is kind of like
I like Post Malone.
No, that's your king. You knock it off right now.
Okay, yeah, no, that's true. He does like Post Malone.
I like a guy once. Few times.
Avery's a recent. And
what are the
what's so
Post
interesting?
Malone stands called? What are they called?
The Maloney's? I don't know.
So you're a Maloney.
Posties or something like that. You know what's interesting about the Weeknd though? Avery, correct me if I'm wrong. Before like
Malone.
Oh yeah, I'm like a new Weeknd fan.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Before what's the album from last year?
Wasn't it Starboy that put you on?
Or
After Hours.
After Hours.
Oof. After Hours. That's it. That's insane because After Hours, Avery was like, man, I've never been a fan of the Weeknd like that.
Because Avery, I don't know if you would. Actually, I don't know how you did. You like Beauty Behind the Madness?
I like songs. I didn't think
that's
it was
not his stuff though. That's not his ish.
That's still to this day my favorite.
That album
I think that's still
it's
my
a good
favorite
album.
That album had me
in
a chokehold.
The
for 2
Weeknd
years.
was in
I'm
his
sorry, and I'm also
with After Hours.
I'm sorry, but like Beauty Behind the Madness, and this is honestly like, I'm sorry, but like the fact that Kanye did Tell Your Friends About It. Whew. Kanye produced can't tell your friends about it. Can't tell. Oh yeah, tell your friend, bro. That's what I'm saying.
Kanye did that.
Yes,
he needed to do more of that on his own damn album,
bro. That's all right there. But we get on
I had no clue that was Kanye,
bro.
To this day, that's still one of the best Weeknd songs. To this day, Tell Your Friends still is top 10 Weeknd. I don't care what nobody says. Okay, friends. The other thing I want to highlight, this is chart data put this out, but Chloe's Have Mercy apparently surpassed 100 million streams on Spotify.
Oh, good for her.
First. There you go. Shout out Chloe.
Where's the album at?
At this point, I feel like maybe she'll get back with Halle. Maybe she was just doing the singles, while Halle was doing her Disney grind.
I don't think so, bro. I feel like we was like, yo, the album coming. And I was like, yo, the album coming, and it's just like, oh nah. Okay, cool.
Okay, so over on the Billboard 200, we predicted this, but King Von's album debuted at number 2, which is actually, oh no, that is old. Okay, so Noah, you were perhaps correct, but 7220 by Lil Durk is number 1 on the chart. But it sold, I believe, upwards of 100K. Rex Orange County debuted at number 5, which I know, Avery, that's some people that you're messing with. So you may,
The album's good. I'm solid.
You got that. Tana Talk debuted at number 22, I would like to say.
That's good for him.
Which is really good for many, but that actually still may be
he's above Justice. That's how like
that may be a career high for a member of the Griselda.
Oh, it is.
Griselda fam. Did I do this Doja Cat thing last week? Y'all remember? Did I talk about that?
Doja Cat quitting, you mean?
No. Oh, well, we can talk about that. I was talking about her not being the female rapper with the most cumulative weeks in the top 10. Did we talk about that last week?
Oh.
So maybe this is news. So Doja Cat is now the female rapper with the most weeks in the top 10 of the Billboard 200 with that one album.
She's breaking records every week, dude.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of discussion too about like whether she's actually a rapper too. Y'all saw that too. Somebody said, Remy Ma. There's been a lot of
Doja's are. It's like, yeah, people. I'm telling you, people like Nirvana. That boy is getting that lawsuit ready though.
Oh my goodness, he is coming back. He's coming back. He's revving up again.
I want
that's
based off the conversation we have. Do y'all see how much Juice WRLD is still on this chart?
Oh yeah.
Really,
like insane.
It's in. You just I understand it so much.
Fighting Demons
he's still releasing music.
Oh, his people, his team.
Yeah.
His team is
that's
right? Fighting Demons. That's expected to jump.
Fighting
up
Demons is the newest. I think Fighting Demons came out this year.
It's expected to jump up. So I don't know why. I was trying to see if maybe something happened with it, but it's really going to take a big leap next week. The other thing I want to shout out next week, Moto Mommy is expected to debut in the top 40, which is Rosalia's new album. We're talking about that next week. So that'll be good for her. And then have y'all heard of the Stray Kids? Because they're going to be number 1 on the chart next week with about 115,000 records sold.
Stray Kids.
Clearly, they have a base. I've never heard of this group before in my life. They're called
somebody new every week, bro. Somebody new every
I think they're K-pop. I think they're a K-pop group.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
Boy band.
Yeah,
they're K-pop. They're K-pop. Everybody trying to be BTS.
Oh, I forgot we had a K-pop episode already. I was about to we have to do that one day. I was like, oh, we did. Go check out our
BTS,
K-pop
man.
episode.
BTS,
like number
man. Look
52, I think.
The BTS effect.
It's a 7-song album.
115,000 sold though, so good for them. Good for them.
Hey.
I feel we have to at least mention we didn't talk about Encanto, but they're also nominated for a ton today. We don't talk about Bruno's "The Song," but I don't think it was nominated.
No, the other song it got after that song became popular after
this,
came
right?
out.
Yeah, so it wasn't even submitted, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of problems with the Oscars that we don't have to get into, but
And then I just thought, I didn't know if y'all wanted to hit this here. This isn't chart related anymore, but the Grammys announced their expanded slate of performers. I didn't know if y'all had any thoughts about that. It's, John Batiste, Foo Fighters. Well, at least I don't know. I hope the Foo Fighters will still perform. You had her, Nas, Chris Stapleton, Ben Platt, Rachel Ziegler, who apparently wasn't invited at one point, but now is performing.
Well, she wasn't invited to the Oscars.
Oscars. Oops. Sorry, I'm lying.
That's insane. That's insane.
It really is crazy.
That's insane. That don't make sense.
And I think they're joining who else is I want it? Maybe Doja's performing. I think Doja's performing already. She was already announced. Lil Nas X, BTS, Billie Eilish, Olivia Rodrigo, Brothers Osborne. That's Avery's folks. Jack Harlow.
What?
That's Avery's guy.
Oh, Rachel Ziegler did get she finally got an Oscar. No, she finally got an Oscar invite.
Why? What are we doing here?
I don't understand the question.
Feels like a setup.
I don't understand.
What's the setup? What's going on here?
Because I said the Brothers Osborne is his people. That's your people. What you mean?
I cannot name one song by the Brothers. I bet they're from Georgia. Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, update. Rachel Ziegler did get invited. It seems like she got invited after all.
Yeah, she got invited to the Oscars after the backlash online.
That's insane. Honestly, that's a shame.
Wait, isn't she nominated? That's something that had to be.
She's the star of the. She's the star. She's essentially the main character of a picture that got the.
That's how I'm telling you. When an intern got fired, that had to have been a mistake. There's just no way. I can't believe that the Academy could be that bold to be like.
Yeah, an assistant got fired. They wrong address.
Yeah, literally.
Okay, so
but guys,
this has been Maryland. So that's Chanel's people.
Wow, who's Chanel?
So Avery,
why trying to get my people out? Why putting
Avery.
people? Why putting personal people's stuff
Bro,
out there?
Chanel's been on this podcast twice.
True. You're right.
She's now
Isaiah Rashad, Tyler the Creator.
But okay, so let's do Prize of the Week and wrap this guy up. No, I like this cover, so I want to know who this is.
That cover is hard, bro. Oh my gosh, so now on Twitter, if you guys want to know everything that's coming out, like hip hop, R&B related, just follow Hip Hop by the Numbers. Yeah. They literally give you everything that comes out. It's kind of ridiculous. They give you everything. So I was like, I kind of look at him who looks dope, who have I heard of, who will I listen to, and I'll add what I add. And Fly Anakin, I was like, dude, I think I just like the name. I like his name, Fly Anakin. I like the name, so I listened to it, and it's really good. Yeah, I mean, he kind of sound like West Side Gun, but rapping more. Kind of like West Side Gun, but yeah, man, I like this song a lot. It's called Frank. He's from Virginia, I believe, actually. And yeah, he's dope. Go listen to it. It just came out this year. So Frank, Fly Anakin, check it out.
Mr. Law.
Yeah, I'm kind of cheating, as pointed out, but to honor the life and career of Taylor Hawkins, I'm just putting the Foo Fighters down. I have their greatest hits album here. Probably be playing from that a little bit. But they've of course released albums after the greatest hits album came out, so we'll put some Foo Fighters songs on the playlist.
I chose Weight of the World by Maxwell Cream. Mainly, for kind of two reasons. One, we may or may not be going to a concert next week, which he's the headliner.
May or may not.
Well,
Oh, don't give people our gotcha.
You gotta keep them confused. And because I don't know why, but I have been able to get What I Look Like out of my head. I've listened to it every day. since honestly we first talked about the album. Which did we include? What album of the year? Maybe that was a conversation.
That was on mine. That made mine.
I think that's probably my favorite Maxo song right now. So I just wanted to put that on our playlist and needed an excuse to do so. So, project of the week.
Dope. And he's Nigerian, bro. You didn't talk about that, man. This man is
I shout out all my Nigerians whenever I can. You know, Maxo, he's a Nigerian man. I want to say based on the way he looks, I'm gonna say he's Igbo. What's his real name? I'm gonna tell y'all right now.
Maybe I'm about to find out right now. What's his name?
Right now, it is. Let me call. I don't even got to call my mom. I know how to do this.
Oh, I do not know how to say this, bro.
His name is He's Yoruba. Hey, Emeka Wanem Ogugwa.
This man sounds like his dad. Avery. This man sounds like his dad on the album. Remember, his dad's like pumpkin.
I want to know what tribe, because that's not. I don't.
Don't he sound like him, Avery? Though, you know, like there's songs where like his dad's talking at the end. He sound like just like him too.
Is Emeka Igbo or
all this rap stuff, man? What's wrong with you?
Nnamdi, I thought you knew how to do this.
Pull up your pants.
No, because the thing is, so Emeka is Igbo, but it was just throwing me off because like his version of Emeka is I haven't heard before. Emekwane. Hey, either way, he's Nigerian, so you know we're gonna go up for him. Shout out Maxo Cream. Shout out Fibroid.
We have
shout out Wiz Kid, all my Nigerians who's doing
the new newsletter. Nnamdi talked about. Honestly, all really good pieces from everybody. Seriously, like this actually, y'all killed this. Nnamdi had a really interesting piece about Kanye, the argument for and against Kanye going to the Grammy.
That's not what you texted me about my piece. It's funny that you want to fake.
I don't want to take a shot.
No, it's Kanye West.
Kanye.
Kanye West.
Oh yeah, Kanye West. Avery wrote about some dope singles that came out from albums that are coming out too, like Rex Orange County, Rosalia. Who else is on there? Soccer Mommy,
and
you did
Still
Woozy. And I talked about Orion Sun and Jordan Rakey. I forgot how to say his name. I've been saying it wrong the whole time. But yeah.
I've been really excited because apparently people really love this newsletter. It's become one of our most viewed within the 4 days it's been out. So shout out to y'all for showing it love and support. Keep on doing that. Sometimes writing them is a pain, but knowing that y'all read them makes it better. So
it does.
Thanks for that. But we have a really excited episode. Next week we'll be doing our our monthly review roundup, which also are super popular. Those apparently are our most watched. I don't know how many are insights, but
I'll be in the same location for that.
And we may or may not all be in the same location for that.
Be fun.
I don't know. We're still trying to figure out, our contractual renewal. So we don't know if we'll all be here, but we'll know, we will have an episode next week. We'll just say that. I'll just be talking. But okay, so stay tuned for that. Thank you all for listening to what I'm going to assume is a longer episode of the podcast. Gents, any final words?
No.
Go Peacocks.
Go Peacocks.
There we go.
We'll see you next week.
By the time this episode comes out, I hope they're in the Final Four.